If you're in The Walking Dead and you're sending a team out on a mission, you might want them armed with the best weapons available to ensure that they're still warm and breathing after 2 minutes in the walker-filled apocalypse. Each class has a variety of offensive gear to see them through, with different traits and abilities varying how those weapons work and how effective they are in a given situation. I'll be going through my personal favourite weapons per class. I'm not going to rank them tier style, since the situation can really define when something's useful to have, but any weapon mentioned is guaranteed to be fun to use, effective in most circumstances, and more often than not, has something unique about it that really makes it stand out. Now, some of these are unique weapons from the Guild War shop or unique events that have passed, things like that. They may become available via the black market, or they may not. If there's any implement of destruction that you particularly like but can't find available for yourself to purchase, just consider the traits and why the weapon is rated highly. Something similar might come along. Shooters are speedy and excel at engaging one or a small number of targets at a time. They have long range and hit hard. The first weapon that I want to talk about is the Blizzard Pistol Sea Stormer. It really does look goofy, but this auto pistol hits with a small blast affecting up to 9 walkers at a time. It's silent, generating no threat, which is great for a ranged weapon. Pretty much all of the best weapons have high power in this class, boosting their range, and that, plus the aforementioned area effect, works really well in tandem with the Blizzard's cripple trait. It's pretty much all good stuff when you're talking about this weapon. I can't think of anything really negative. We go from wacky and effective to brutal functionality with the Saviour's handgun. It has that super long range naturally, and also an excellent chance to set its target on fire. Lucky helps with that, and the infused trait of cripple gives the target more time to burn. I consider this to be the perfect set of traits for a shooter weapon, but let's just consider something else that often gets used in uniquely challenging situations. The Hunter's Bow. It's silent, long range, and it looks pretty elegant too. The unique thing about the Hunter's Bow is that it can reduce threat with its charge attacks. If that ever-ticking threat counter is what's causing you troubles in a mission, it's a godsend to be able to trim down the reinforcements that brings to the undead side. And at a distance too. There are some shooter weapons that deserve an honourable mention. The Porcelain Pulverizer sounds like the punchline to a poop joke, and it's affectionately known as the Combat Teacup. It launches a noisy, messy grenade that affects a small area and causes a lot of damage. Carl's Deadeye Pistol is a really insensitively named weapon with Cripple, Interrupt, and Incendiary. Load up the kid himself with this, and he's a nightmare as a Guild War defender. And finally, the Nail Gun has a load of nice effects, including the ability to root close-range targets in place. At the time of publishing, a new deluxe edition is going to be available soon, and that is frankly going to live up to the promise of nailing the opposition. If we prefer something a little more subtle and intimate, then our scouts are going to need something to make the most of their ability to get up close and personal quickly and deliver exceptional damage. The first weapon on the list messes with some of the conventions of the scout class. It's the Commonwealth Rifle, and it's a little bit like the classic bayonet musket in that the standard attack is a jab with the bayonet and the charge is a ranged shot. However, the Commonwealth Rifle charge blasts out in a cone to attack multiple enemies, and it stuns them too. It adds a lot of variety to what a scout can do while maintaining their lethality. Next up to consider is the Pouvoir Flag. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It can attack multiple enemies at once, which is great, but the way that it confuses the enemies makes it truly unique. You can make walkers ignore you for a turn, or even make them attack their own kind. Any walker type seems to be affected, and whether this is a sneaky mission or a kill everything type affair, being able to confound the undead is just endlessly helpful. And it's really fun. Finally, I just love the Sawtooth Blade. I've been using this weapon for absolutely ages, and it never lets me down. It has additional damage, and it allows a free action while also reducing threat after a kill. It helps your scouts zoom around the map, wreaking mayhem, and racking up charge points as they do. Special mentions for scout weapons include the Croat's hook knife, Ruby Reaver, Mercer's axe. They're all sort of variations on the theme of the sawtooth, with different abilities like attacking multiple targets, maybe having different but similar useful traits like interrupt. They may not truly be unique like the flag or the rifle, but they do really help your scouts make a mess of the undead. Swapping back to the ranged mayhem, hunters can deal considerable damage to multiple enemies if they line up nicely for you. While you usually have a respectable reach on rifles and the like that hunters use, the burnout rifle takes range out of the equation entirely. It has unlimited range, so you can reach out and touch anything anywhere on the map. Since it ignites targets too, you can get the clock ticking on a walker's inevitable demise from a really good long way away. The 7mm Harrier is just a solid perennial favourite of mine. It attacks normally, albeit with large caliber. 7mm counts as such, apparently. Anyway, this rifle has cripple, ensnare, and incendiary, so you can slow or even stop whatever is coming at you, as well as get them cooking at the same time. The Blaze Guard is my favourite among a type of very distinctive weapon, the RPG. The Blaze Guard has impressive damage, hits with a small blast, and can ignite targets too. It has no charge attack, but it doesn't really need it. If you really want some explosive fun, hoist this onto Shane's shoulder and blast away. Special mentions in the Hunter class go to various harpoon guns. They're silent, they require only 2 charge points to get a charge attack, and they can usually at the very least root targets. And shotguns also get a shout out. They have a nice large blast and cause additional damage to anything within 2 squares. They're not too fancy, but they are effective. Bruisers are usually all about going toe-to-toe with the enemy and incapacitating them with stunning charge attacks. The first weapon on the list, the Riot Shield, does that beautifully as it can strike multiple enemies, something all of the best Bruiser weapons have in common. The Riot Shield stands out for being able to herd walkers too. Now whether that's going to help you slip by a horde, prevent being swarmed and attacked, or just buys you time from turn to turn, it's an amazing ability to be able to use. The Barazi Spear hits multiple targets, which is great for helping harvest charge points when used on a character with the likes of Weaken and Perseverance, which all Bruisers should have. Its main attack causes a set percentage of target health to be lost, so you can have it so that a Bruiser can harm even the toughest walker type. You also have infused traits like Intercept to stop the enemy in their tracks. It's just a great combination of standard traits and unique abilities. There are other weapons worth mentioning, like Luke's Gear Mace, Rosita's Makwawit, or the Lucerne Hammer. These aren't as innovative as the Riot Shield and the Spear, but they just make the most of the Bruiser's natural role in the game. Stunning targets for additional turns, having a nice wide swing that gets multiple targets like the Spear does, all that kind of stuff. Whatever is going to let the Bruisers bruise more targets is worth consideration. The Assault class is all about mass damage, having a greater natural ability to hit multiple targets with the wide arc that their spray and pray type of attacking affords. The Champion Assault Rifle, Code Orange, can possibly hit more targets than anything else in the game with a single attack. The extended range and massively wide arc, plus the crippling effect, gives unprecedented control of the battlefield. The charge attack is a bonus attack, so you can still shoot after you've used it, and you can blind fire the weapon or otherwise aim it wherever you like, not necessarily at a specific target. The weapon lets you sweep a crippling and sometimes surprisingly damaging rain of firepower at a huge chunk of whatever is on screen. It really is just superb. The Decimator is a classic weapon at this point. It concusses targets to keep them out of the action for multiple turns, and it shares something in common with the Code Orange in that you can aim the charge attack wherever you like. The difference is the Decimator attacks with a large blast. You can effectively shoot around corners and stun whatever you hit. It's an original game changer of a weapon and remains one of the most potent things that you can bring to any fight. The Hazard Bulldozer shotgun may not have the exceptional range of the other two weapons that were mentioned, but it can ensnare and push targets away. It's just so good at keeping approaching enemies off your back, and it is always a joy to be able to simply control the enemy's movement on the field. The special mentions go to the Commonwealth Obliterator and Daryl's Assault Rifle. While assaults are usually a very effective class, they also tend to be really noisy. Both of these weapons are actually silent for some reason. So if it's more that they're latecomers than the enemies who start on the map that are a problem, keeping an eye out for something silent but deadly for your assaults could be a good idea. The warrior class has some great heroes with powerful leadership traits, and they have a lot of quirky and unique weapons that really make them a versatile class. The first weapon mentioned isn't a specific weapon, more of a type. It's the mace. There's a lot of variants, but they all operate similarly, able to shove walkers back when they're struck and often immobilize them completely with a charge attack. They can bash enemies into walls or other targets, and that can make warriors into a sort of Bruiser's light, while also maintaining their greater ability to cause damage. If you're struggling to find a role for your warriors, give them a mace and get swinging. It really makes them shine. Daryl's Skegox gives you some reach, allowing you to attack from 2 squares away, and it has a dissertation's worth of additional rules. It essentially has tactical built in, so you can move after attacking if you hadn't moved before. It weakens enemies, it gains guaranteed additional charge points, it interrupts. If you have a free weekend, you can read all of the additional rules in detail, or just take it onto the battlefield, get swinging, and see how much it can do in practice. Now, it wouldn't be zombie fiction without a chainsaw. The charge attack is surely inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as your survivor pirouettes in a circle, chainsaw slashing everything around you. What's more, it double strikes, so you can do things like cleave a human in 2 with a single strike. It hits hard, it's fun to use, it's a chainsaw. What more could you want? So those are my picks for the best weapons in No Man's Land in 2024. For now. There's going to be a lot more cool stuff in store, no doubt. And always remember, the right gear is a big help, but it's your mission tactics and larger strategy that's key. The right equipment only makes a difference if you've got the basics down already. But do keep an eye out for these unique weapons that can tip the balance. If you have any thoughts or other favorites, let me know. And as ever, thank you for watching. See you next time.